Show with Irish Show with Irish Show. Sometimes it's good to just yell about football. What are you doing? Don't do this to me, Harry! The Ohio State. It's Ohio State! What do you mean, the? It's a poison! I almost stroked out and died over it. I'm glad to be at the party. I'm mad we're this late. You ain't a captain of nothing but a sinking ship! That helps the defense without them even doing a damn thing! Doing a damn thing! The call-in line. 312-988-15. You tell Johnny all you've heard and seen. Oh, Irish! Oh, Irish! Oh, Irish! Oh, Irish! Irish! Yeah, that's right. Oh, Irish! Oh, Irish! Oh, Irish! Oh, Irish! Irish! Yeah, that's right. That's right. Welcome back, folks, to we just need football games to actually talk about because everything else is driving everybody else crazy. Or maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me, you guys. Maybe I am just wound so tight. Things are getting to me and sticking in my mind and bugging me that really shouldn't. We need actual damn football. I need camp to start. Like, we're at that point where, like, the patience is gone. I need camp because a lot of the stuff going on and being talked about and circulating in the media right now is it's bugging me. And we're going to go over some of that. Thank you, everybody, for being here on a Friday. I see a couple calls already. I took a little heat on the Wednesday show. I kept saying, callers, hang in there. I'll get right to you. And it was 41 minutes, somebody said, before I did. I'm going to get to the callers earlier. We're going to switch it up today. We're going to do that. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Good morning. Football's in the air, and we love to care. I need games. I need games. We need to start getting answers to this stuff, not only about Notre Dame, but about everybody. There is intrigue across the country. If you're a Notre Dame fan, there is so much to watch besides just us. There is a lot going on. Thanks for being here. Do hit subscribe if you haven't yet on YouTube. A lot of you are here every day. Still don't hit subscribe. I don't know what you're doing with your life. Give the video a thumbs up. That helps me as well. Notifications on that way you're alerted on your phone every time a new episode drops. I know you don't want to miss it. Twitter. Search bar, Always Irish or at Always. Ooh, that was a juicy one. At Always Irish. Emails, alwaysirishnd@gmail.com. Audio only, anywhere you want me. You can locate me in the call-in lines. 312-988-15. You tell Johnny all you've heard and seen. Here's the deal. Fighting Irish Wire. Every day you type those words in your computer and you read about Notre Dame football. It's a beautiful thing. Technology is wild. Potential programming announcement. Next week, I'm going to Notre Dame. I have some meetings on campus. I have some people to see and some things to do at Notre Dame. I am going to be there Tuesday night, all day Wednesday. Here's what we're going to do. I'll make this decision. I may go live Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday's not going to be able to go live because I'm going to be at Notre Dame in those meetings and doing what I need to do. So we may go live Tuesday instead so we don't lose an episode. I'll keep you guys posted on that. I don't want you to think I'm ditching on you and going and having a day at the beach or something. This is Notre Dame official business. So I got to get to South Bend, have a couple meetings, and try and continue to maneuver myself into the inner workings of Notre Dame football, okay? My wheels are always spinning one day at a time, 1 week at a time. I'll make that announcement when we get closer, what we're going to do for that. All right. So let's start with this note. I'll do a couple chats. I won't say any of my stuff. We'll go right to the callers first. I'll let you guys go. But briefly, in more regular news, Brian Kelly's still talking about Notre Dame. He just can't help himself, you guys. Did you hear the latest thing he said? He was saying that he didn't have the time at Notre Dame due to the recruiting obligations to be able to be out and be seen at the other sporting events and giving support to all those other teams and being able to go to those games and everything. But at LSU, the recruiting's so much easier. He doesn't have that issue. This guy just can't help himself. I don't understand. Freeman, by everybody's account and the mileage on the plane, Freeman works harder than Kelly in every aspect of recruiting, and he's seen it every single big game. Every single big game for that women's basketball, lacrosse, whatever it is, there's Freeman, and he's outworking Kelly on the trail. Do explain how that makes any sense. So you got that guy who just can't stop talking Notre Dame and making up stuff. All right. Then meanwhile, Kirby's over there daring anybody to play their schedule. People were asking, what do you think about people saying you have an easy schedule this year? If you think it's so easy, you guys play it. Okay. Like, nobody's saying the SEC in general is an easy conference. That, however, does not mean you didn't draw a lighter schedule this year in it. It's like, okay, that schedule is a lot easier than ours. We'll trade it for this year. I'm not saying, chill out. I know, John, Notre Dame would get beat up in the SEC week in, week out every year. I'm not saying anything big picture. I'm not denigrating the SEC overall. I'm just saying, Kirby, it's possible that you got a weak draw this year. And with your talent, you'll likely blow through it. I don't know. But chill out, man. You guys are loaded with talent. You're going to be fine. Just back off. And then you got old Saban saying that Tommy Boy is the smartest person he's ever met. He's a genius. He's a QB wizard. And he's a perfect person. All right? He's made Saban reverse age, and he's going to live forever just by Tommy's presence. He walked in the door. You could feel his aura, and the genius just started falling out of his head. It's unbelievable. So that is the SEC Media Day. And then we got, it's just wild, man. These coaches just say the craziest stuff. And this is the time for them to do it. No games yet. They can say whatever they want, unchecked. It's just kind of wild. It's just kind of wild. Is the White Sox season officially over? Oh, it's been so over. You have no idea. It's been so over. I haven't been watching. I haven't watched a full Sox game in over a month. It's just too depressing. Why bother? You know, when your football team's bad, if you're a diehard fan of a football team and they're bad, it's 4 hours a week that you're reminded that you're bad, and then you go on and you're miserable the next Saturday or Sunday. In baseball, if they're bad and you're really into it, you're getting stabbed every day because they play 5 or 6 times a week at least, if not every day. And then you're just miserable all the time. Like, there's no way around bad baseball other than to not watch it. Oh, man. Okay, so let's do a couple chats, and then we'll get right to the calls, okay? First one is a $5 holler from Paul. I really appreciate it. Right back into the phone lines. Good morning to you, John the Great. I have a good feeling about ND. I hope you do also. I mean, I'm a nervous type. So even if I'm feeling good, there's going to be anxiety and things I'm worried about. It's just in my nature. It's just the way it is. Look at this. We got some more from the SEC Media Day. 618-937. First two up. What's Kiffin saying? We got professional sports except no salary cap or luxury tax. And the result is a myriad of issues for coaches. Kiffin called out legalized cheating, saying NIL's basically become pay for play, transform college football into the disaster that we're in. That is probably more evident to him being in the SEC, where a lot of that stuff goes on. Notice how Anders says, notice how Kiffin never calls for regulated coaches' salaries. SEC and Big Ten schools are going to make over $100 million per year in the coming years. Coaches make around 10 million per week. You know what's really wild? I forget whether it was online or a TV show. They were talking about the highest paid public employee in all these states. It's a little bit upsetting to me. As much as I love football, and you all know how much I love college football, isn't it kind of a bad sign that in like half the states in the country, the highest paid employee is the football coach? Like, and I'm saying that as a guy that loves college football. It is by far my favorite sport to consume. And I'm admitting it's probably a bad sign that in half of the states, the football coach is the highest paid person, not like the top politician or the best judge or like somebody who makes all the laws or like the best surgeon working for a public health institution that's saving brain cancer kids or something. No, it's the dumb football coach. Like, it's the way it is though. And it has to do with the money being generated. And the more that's on the line there, then the more you're going to make. I get how the economics of it work. I just have to ask, even as a football lover, should that be a red flag to anybody? I don't know. And Andrew's talking about, only the players need to be regulated, not the coaches. The argument against that, Andrew, would be the pool of head coaches making all that money is so much smaller than the pool of all the players doing everything else and getting everything else. That's going to be the argument. Ignore the dollar amount differences there, but more that it's easier to control that smaller group of people in leadership positions than it is all of those players coming and going and getting whatever they're getting. That it's not an apples to apples thing to ask why there's not regulations on the coaching, right? And I know people won't like that answer, but that's going to be the answer. Andrew, college football doesn't have many problems. It's more popular than it's ever been. The players who put their bodies on the line are starting to be compensated. My only gripe, poor non-conference scheduling. That can't be your only gripe. Come on, that can't be your only gripe. I guess it depends how you define problems and who's defining them, which is what we'll get into after we give the callers a couple minutes here. Mikey, my security guard, the problem isn't NIL or the portal or pay for play. The problem is that the same handful of teams are awarding all the talent, winning all the championships. That's interesting. What else? If there was more parity in college football, more teams were winning championships outside the same 4 to 5 every year, there would be no issue with how things are going. I think a lot of people, and I was open to this idea, thinking that perhaps once NIL became legal, it would cause more parity, because before, the only people doing NIL and pay for play were doing it totally illegal under the table, and we know what was going on. Nobody else could get in that game. I understand the mentality of wondering, okay, now that this is opened up and it's legal, can everybody get into that game? And we have more teams in the mix that are able to kind of pay for some players in legal ways to balance that out. I don't know if you're seeing that. And then I don't know how you change the power dynamic. It is what it is now. Those top teams that are recruiting in the top 3 and 5 every year keep having good results, and it fuels that recruiting cycle. I think maybe the only way to do this, especially for the teams that aren't willing to do pay for play or don't have the resources to fund big NIL deals, millions of dollars, all that, those teams are going to have to find a way to win big. And it's going to be hard because they don't have the elite talent because of the vacuum at the top of the recruiting scope with the top 3, 4, 5 teams. So what's the way out of it? I mean, if those teams are already getting the top guys and they're winning elitely, that's a rough cycle to break unless new teams go in there, bust through, win, show well in the playoff or whatever. And then it's like, oh, wow, they're elite too. Maybe that'll open some avenues. I don't know what else changes it. How else do you stop that top 3 to 4 teams having the bulk of the 5 stars? I don't know how you're going to stop that. If it was just money, other teams with money would be getting more of those guys. So then that tells me it's got to be more on the field stuff. And then you're in a chicken and the egg. How are you expecting to disrupt that apple cart against the teams that have that best? You got to find a way to win and break through it, beat those teams, open some eyes. I don't know another way. Mikey says a magic college football landscape where any given year 20 to 30 teams have a legit shot at winning a title instead of Bama, Georgia, the outside chance, Ohio State, Clemson, or LSU. That's exciting as could be, but the power dynamics in the modern sport are not going to allow that to be a reality. And you know what, though? More teams are going to get a chance with that expanded playoff. And then I think you're going to have some terrible games, you guys. We're all going to like it and watch it because it's more football that matters in the playoff. You're going to have some really ugly, bad football games. You're going to have some good ones, too. And eventually, there's going to be a big upset, either by weather or fluke or whatever else. There will be a big upset. But you're going to let the 12 team in that playoff isn't going to have anywhere near the talent as that number one team, probably. You're going to have some ugly mismatches. But I don't know how you balance all this out. Actually, I have a couple of ideas how you would balance it out that we'll get to today. Mark with glasses, might as well disband the NCAA, blow up conferences, and reconfigure it more like the NFL, AFC, NFC. Top half of every Power 5 conference is becoming the only relevant teams anyways. A part of what I have to go over involves the NCAA and some of their empty talking points about all of this. So that's interesting you bring that up. Very interesting indeed. It's pay for play, free market. They want to convince you it's a level playing field. There's 20, 30 teams and the rest are just schedule fillers. There isn't even 20 to 30 teams. There's probably literally only 12 or 15 that even have close to the talent that they could think they could make a run, if we're being honest. If we're being honest, that's what I think it is. Andrew says, Golden's taken way more criticism over the offseason than Parker, which is weird because he's way more experienced. What recruit has Parker been credited for landing? I hope he's ready. Well, I mean, it's also tricky, though. You have a year of seeing what Golden could do, and I don't think it was quite up to snuff. You don't have that time at Notre Dame to be able to pull up film and then criticize Parker. I think that is a big difference if you take the recruiting part out of it. I got a year of Golden, and that defense was not good enough in 3 major ways. I need our defense to be good enough. Getting off the field on third downs, getting your blitzes to actually work, and then defending the red zone. They were bad at all 3 of those, and I can't handle that. They also got ran on more than I liked a little bit at times last year, and I just can't have that to continue. With Parker, you don't have any body of evidence at Notre Dame with which to criticize, and I feel like that's maybe why you're seeing that be a difference. Also, perceptually, I think people feel good about the offense because of Hartman, and I think that's shielding some of what should be worried about offensive structure, what that's all going to look like under Gerard. Some of that is, I think, being glanced over because people are overall excited about Hartman and what he could bring, and that the idea that hopefully whatever Parker wants to draw up, Hartman's going to throw it open or the offensive line's going to block it open in the run game. So I think that's why you're having some of that shielding. T-Rex, John, loved your video addressing the schedule. Well, thank you very much. It's tough, but if ND plays a legit playoff contender, it's absolutely manageable. 9 teams with way less talent, including Tennessee State. Yeah, could have said that last year too. That's why I'm telling Notre Dame fans, you're getting ahead of yourself. Did you not learn from last year when you breeze by teams like Duke and Louisville and Pitt and NC State, and you tell me, John, just look at the talent. Notre Dame should win by far. That's why they play the games on Saturday. Explain that to Marshall on the plane into South Bend as a 17.5-point dog. Explain that to a dead, deceased body with rigor mortis rotting away in a grave, which was known as Stanford last year, with a coach that he knew it was over and he was done and he didn't even want to be at the game, came into Notre Dame and beat Notre Dame as a 17.5-point dog at our place in our face. Telling you, Notre Dame people, I don't know where you get off breezing by these teams on the schedule and going, oh, this should be easy. Believe it when I see it after what we saw last year. T-Rex, Hartman brought in here for 3 games. 2 of the 3 are at home. Come on, I love the way that looks. Take care of all the other business and then get 2 to 3 of these at least. Get yourself in playoff position. And listen, I don't want to bring this up. Callers, I'm not doing this again. I'll get to you. I promise. It isn't going to be 40 minutes today. I promise. I swear to you. Stick with me on the line. Here's the other issue. This year's a big damn deal. Obviously, it leads into year 3, which is a big deal for Notre Dame coaches historically. That also overlaps with the expansion of the playoff. That's going to be a big deal in 24. We have all of 23 to deal with practically. What that's going to be, in reality. I'm a little nervous about 24. There's going to be a lot of new stuff on this team. You're getting into a quarterback question all over again. You're losing a bunch of it. There's not going to be a bunch of upperclassmen with experience that we love and trust heading into 24. You better get some things done this year to get on an uptrend, because I'm not sure how 24 is looking. I'm not saying it's going to be bad, but there's going to be a whole reshift of a lot of stuff after this year too. It's not like you get this year going and it goes well and then Notre Dame's kind of set. There's going to be another reset that's going to have to happen in 24. If no other reason than the quarterback situation alone, you're in another one to figure out what you want to do. Roll with year 2 Minchie, year 1 Carr. Do you get a transfer guy? That's a whole nother bowl of wax. You're going to have to deal with that. Yeah, look at this, Pat. Morning, always Irish family. Happy Friday. Who would have thought that another institution such as the NCAA would implement a policy with very little understanding of the situation that turned out to be a disaster? Yeah, my criticism of the NCAA with NIL is such. Once the courts ruled it was legal, they bowed out, said, this is going to be messy. We don't want anything to do with it. They bowed out and just said, the courts have ruled. They bowed out of it and wanted to see how it was going to go. And it's gone exactly how anybody with the brain would predict it would go. Those that want to skirt the rules and do it dirty are going to find a way to do that. That's exactly what's happened. What the NCAA needed to do was get ahead of all this and have plans to react to what was going to be ruled in the courts. And then right when it happened, say, okay, they ruled it's legal. Here are the guidelines. And then after the calls, I'll give you what should have happened from there. How's that for a teaser? 9-3 would be an indictment of Freeman. 10-2 satisfactory. 11-1 or better. Why the hell not? 9-3, you can't do it. I need regular season double-digit wins. Needs to be the minimum number of wins, no matter who it's against, to make everybody feel better like we're trending up. 10-2 is it. The longer we go through the summer, the more convinced I am 10-2 is that barometer. No, ain't nobody open to single digits anymore. You want to give Freeman the quarterback year 1, no wide receiver, all that from last year, fine, that's over. 10-2 or better has to be the line, or people are going to be wound real tight about Freeman. Real tight. Anders, stop playing down to competition like Stanford. Yeah, that's a problem. It's a problem. Did he make the right OC hire? I realize the admin really hurt the process, but settling on his good friend at OC makes me feel like what Kelly would have done earlier in his tenure. I mean, my fight back to that would be, that's not what Freeman wanted to do. That's not what Freeman wanted to do. It was not his first choice. Then, once the nightmare PR thing with Ludwig hit, it's panic mode then. Now the microscope's on you. The national media is writing you. You're getting hit from every angle about how this looks. Then the pressure's on to just figure it out. And then maybe Freeman didn't want to risk another public embarrassment by going after another high-profile guy and getting rejected in a high-profile national way again. So if you want to be frustrated with that, be frustrated with it. I am too. But it's not like Freeman said, I'm hiring Parker out of the gate because he's my buddy and I think I can control him or I know what he's going to do. That's not what Freeman tried to do. He tried to go big, go outside and get the guy that I wanted. A guy that beats USC 2 times a year. That's the guy I wanted. That's the guy Freeman wanted. Once it went sour, I don't know how much I could blame Freeman for trying to scramble his way out of it and put out the fire. It's a tough dynamic we found him in. Tough dynamic. What does Paul have? Can't wait for the season to start. Off season is all questions, no answers. That's what I'm struggling with. Many chat participants are so far off base on their opinions. Share with us where. Bust them out. Bust them out, C. Jones. Morning, John. Fall camp starts Wednesday. Jadaria Price appears to be healthy. That should be fun to watch. That's Wednesday, and John's going to be at Notre Dame Wednesday? What a coincidence. Magic how that works. I love it. Dr. John, he's traveling in the Big Timber. Well, don't get lost in the Big Timber, John. All right? Callers coming right to you. We got more now. I'm going to you. Is Jordan Botelho the most important player on defense? Losing Foskey is a major loss. He represented 40% of the sacks. Hopefully, Botelho can give similar production. I'm going to give you my line I have been saying, and it holds true in every aspect of your life. Anytime you're suffering a loss of sack production, it is time to be concerned about your situation. And I'm just throwing that out there as general life advice. You noticed a reduced sack production? Red alert! Something's going on in your life. Take that however you wish. All right, let's get to the calls. I promised I would do it. 618, then 937-503. 618, what's going on, man?
Hey, how you doing, John?
Hey, I got something to ask you, mister. Listen, you're taking a little heat because you are so positive about the outlook on this year, and you see Notre Dame having a great year. People are pushing back on you. Or do you have no anxiety about Parker and what kind of offense we're gonna run and what it's gonna look like and how he's gonna set it up?
Look, man, John, 90%, the quarterback can make the receivers look a lot better, man. We don't know what Ohio State has at quarterback. We do know what Notre Dame has as quarterback right now.
Yeah.
I mean, you had the number 2 pick in the draft going to Marvin Harrison Jr. last year. We don't know who's throwing to what this year. We don't know who's throwing to him this year. I mean, they keep on, they rank them high because of the brand. I don't think that we have the better quarterback, which means 9 times out of 10, the quarterback will make the receivers look even better. You know, so I don't care about taking heat. I'm positive this year we'll have the better receiving core because we got the better quarterback.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. But I kind of default to your position in a way where I figured having Sam Hartman is really going to help Parker ease into year 1 of play calling at Notre Dame. You got a guy that could do a lot. And the other thing is, Parker and Reese see things a little differently. Like, for as modern as Tommy Reese is, he's still a run-heavy guy. I really think Parker's going to want to open it up more. You obviously know he likes to use the tight ends because he was the tight end coach. But I think he's going to want to open it up more. And you don't bring Hartman in here to put handcuffs on him and tell that guy to be conservative. That's not why you bring Hartman in here. I expect them to open this offense up a little more. And whether that works great or not, I think Notre Dame fans are going to be glad to see that at least tried. Do you agree with that? I think they're going to try and whip it around more. You don't bring Hartman in here and tell him not to do it.
Yeah, I mean, the quarterback that you brought in, you don't bring them, you don't recruit these quarterbacks to say, hey, okay, you're just going to hand the ball off. Don't worry about
Yeah.
You know, I think that, man, this is the year, man. I mean, I think it's going to be a great year for Notre Dame. Like I said, I think they finish up 11-1. You know, possibly 12-0. I'm not worried about Duke. I'm not worried about North Carolina State. I'm really not worried about Ohio State. I'm more so worried about, you know, USC. That's the biggest threat to an undefeated season.
What is your anxiety level about the defense? Like overall, and like if you break down the position groups, are you more worried about us getting pressure up front on the quarterback, stopping the run? Or are you more worried about what's on the back end? Do we have good enough safety play against like Ohio State's talented wide receiver core? What are you worried about?
It's more so the safety play to me, man. I mean, I feel like, man, they got to prove them. They're going to have to prove themselves big time this year, man. And I think that, man, we got one of the best corners in the country, man, and possibly, you know, a decent corner who can, you know, everything going to be timing, man. Everything going to be up to the DBs. I mean, if the DBs are covering well, we'll get a ton of sacks, man. You know, we'll get a ton of coverage sacks. But if they're not covering well, yeah, man, it could be a long season for Notre Dame.
Yeah, and so I don't know, man. I am excited to see what this offense looks like if Notre Dame's able to actually throw it around a little bit more like a real team. Like a real team you watch on Saturday night, and they can run it and pass it. They're tough to defend. Defenses have to play them honest. You can't just creep up to the line, stop the run, and get off the field on third down. Like, Notre Dame could stress defenses in a way we're not used to this year. And that raises the capabilities of everything on the team. The offense can do better. It helps the defense out. Like, I just think the way Notre Dame's built is going to look and feel way different than what we're used to this year. And I'm ready to see that experiment.
Yeah, me too, man. I just think, but I think the best defense is a great offense, man. If the offense is doing what they supposed to do, you know, we probably got man. I don't care what none of the experts say, man. We got a top 5 running game, you know. So if everything goes right,
wait. All right, we love the tackles. Are you sure we're going to hold up at the guard positions? I have a little anxiety about that. I'm a little worried that, if we have a weak point, teams are going to try and confuse those guards. They're not going to want to mess with our tackles too much, but I see them wanting to play games with those guards, try and confuse them, get them off balance, get their mind working. That is my only concern, my biggest concern offensively right now. Tell me you're feeling good about that? You think they'll get off to speed? Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, guide them? What do we got here?
I think they'll be okay, man. I don't think we got a whole lot to worry about, man. You know, it's just up to, you know, we'll know once I don't think that the Ohio State game will be the game that we can really tell, man, that how good this offensive line is. I mean, I think last year they kind of went into that hostile territory, man, and it just kind of like got to them last year. But I think this year with being at home, hopefully you guys don't sell your tickets, man, and we get to this game, and man, I think it'd be better for the offensive line this year against Ohio State, man. You know.
Well, it better be. Okay, wait. Now you're hitting on one of these things. You're going to trigger me on a Friday morning. You're hitting on one of my big complaints is I always hear offensive lines take 2 to 3 weeks to kind of gel and get all ramped up. Well, last year you played Ohio State week 1. You didn't have 3 damn weeks to gel and come together as a unit. You played Ohio State week 1 and you needed to be ready, and we couldn't run the ball for diddly poo, and we scored 10 points. That's not even the real world. 10 points? That's not, you can't sit there all summer thinking about playing Ohio State week 1 and you come up with 10 points. Punch yourself in the face.
Yeah, I think, man, and then again, man, we didn't have, you know, we had a very inexperienced quarterback, which they're bringing to the game this year. They're bringing a very inexperienced quarterback this year. there's no CJ Stroud to make them receivers look great this year.
Yeah.
So, I feel like we will win, man. We will win that game, man.
It would be an unbelievable win for the program. It would change everything. The energy, the dynamic, even recruiting. We could debate how much that would change the perception there. But that's Notre Dame's. Everybody's had this game circled forever. Like, this is huge, man. It is your prime opportunity to show people this isn't old Notre Dame. We're new, and we have a real offense, and we're ready to win on a big stage. It is circled already, and it has been for a year. It's amazing. I'm so excited for that build-up.
Man, we win that game, man. We win that game, man, and I think we pull away late, because last year we was on the way to pulling away from Ohio State, and Buckner wasn't good enough to pull away from them. This year we got Hartman, man, and Hartman is good enough to pull away.
Yep, and you know what I felt? Tell me if you felt this last year against Ohio State. I felt it was palpable. They wanted to protect Buckner in that environment. They did not want to overwhelm him. They did not want to ask him to do too much. It was an extremely conservative plan. I don't feel like they wanted to put him in a position to make big mistakes. But the issue is when you're going against Ohio State and there's a big talent differential, being that conservative, things have to go perfect for you to be able to hang in the game doing it that way, without pushing it, without taking some chances. And I felt like they almost overprotected Hartman to the point where it was too easy for Ohio State to defend. And then that was it. And I was frustrated with that. Hartman eliminates all of that. He can do everything. He's seen everything. There isn't going to be conservative. I think they're going to let this offense rip, and I'm excited to see it.
If we had Hartman last year, man, we beat Ohio State by 2 touchdowns, man. We beat them late by 2 touchdowns because we had Buckner who overthrew. I can't remember the receiver that he overthrew, and then I think he overthrew another receiver.
Yeah.
Towards the end, but with Hartman, he doesn't overthrow them passes. He puts them passes on the money. We score 2 touchdowns. We win the game, man, by 2 touchdowns.
Yep.
The defense played extremely well last year. And everybody talk about their receivers and everything, but what did the receivers do for the first 3 quarters against Notre Dame? What did they do for the first 3 quarters? They didn't look like some receivers.
Yeah.
What you do is you sit your defensive line down, you sit your offensive line down, you make them watch that Michigan-Ohio State game till they blue in the face. Because I'm here to tell you Ohio State fans, your defensive line coach is soft, and so is your head coach.
Ooh, look at you, man. Every time you call, you drop some heat, man. You're predicting big things for Notre Dame, going after Ohio State. Listen, I think there's a chance this wide receiver core really emerges this year. I think you could get a guy like Merriweather to show up more regularly. And then if you get a younger guy like Greathouse that you could start to rely on, and then that could bring some of that youthful energy and athleticism. And you have what Thomas could do already, kind of like I picture him like old reliable kind of. I think I know what I'm going to get out of him on a baseline. And then you throw Tyree in there as a little thing to mess all that up. There's a lot of potential there.
And that's the reason why I'm saying, man, it's more potential for the Notre Dame receiving corps to be better. Than what Ohio State is, because we have the quarterback. We have the quarterback with the proven track record. Last year when we went into that game, they had the quarterback with the proven track record. Now the shoe flips on the other side.
Yep.
I think we beat Ohio State, and I think we beat them going away late. And then late in the game, we pound them with them running backs, man. We're going to pound them because they're soft against the run. Notre Dame last year wasn't ready for that environment. This year they're ready.
Yeah.
They got the best. They got the better quarterback of the two teams. They got the better quarterback.
Yep.
Our receivers can match up with their receivers. Man, they got unproven receivers just like we got unproven receivers. But we can match up with them at receiver. Two of them freshmen, man, Greathouse and Flores, they're going to be dudes, man. They're going to be studs this year. We don't have nothing to worry about that portion.
Man, you're making me feel good about it. Don't let me down, though. That's my fear, is that I believe what you're saying, and then it doesn't quite work out, and then I'm depressed. That's what I want to avoid.
We need Merriweather to step up, man. If Merriweather step up and be our best receiver, man, there's no way we lose I don't think we lose the SC if he's our best receiver.
Yeah. Now, hey, man, I'm open to all of this. It could just be a whole new ball game when you have. I just don't know what to expect as far as just Hartman being here. How much does that help the team? I'm having trouble gauging that. I know it helps. I just don't know how to measure how much.
I think he get us at least 2 more wins. We went 9-4 last year. We was 8-4 in the regular season. I think he get us at least 2 more wins, maybe 3.
Yeah.
I think the ceiling is 11-1, and the floor could be 10-2. I think we'd be way better. And then next year we come in with the freshman, man. We never know what we might get, man. But hey, I think that's going to be a special season. If the 24 season is going to be more special than the 23 seasons.
Yeah, and it's just going to be a totally different dynamic. If they don't go the transfer quarterback route, there's going to be a different kind of excitement. Now it's the excitement of year 6 quarterback, seen it all, done it all, have that experience, and we're going to see what we could get out of him this year. He wants to see what he could get out of us this year to help his NFL stock. Next year would be a whole different kind of excitement. It'd be the excitement of we have a 1 or 2 young, really exciting quarterbacks we want to grow with and get that going. And that's a different kind of quarterback excitement. And I'm looking forward to it. Notre Dame needs one of those guys they could hitch their wagon to.
The first 3 weeks, we need to be blowing these teams out, including NC State, man. We need to be blowing these teams out. And everybody talk about the ACC and Clemson, man. Notre Dame is the ACC champion. They haven't lost a regular season in the ACC in about 3 to 4 years. They are the ACC champion.
Right.
So I think we go on the road. We beat NC State handily. We beat Navy handily. Then we get to see whoever emerges as the number 2 guy with Minchie or the other kid, man. Whoever emerges, they have the experience to get in the game. We won't have a ton of experience because we're going to be in some dogfights. I think the Clemson game on the road might be a dogfight.
Yeah.
I think the Ohio State game, too late, it might be a dogfight because I think we have the better running game than both of those teams, man. I mean, I know they're trying to hype up Ohio State, but hey, Ohio State offensive line is soft.
Right. Let me ask you that. Wait, let me ask you this too. How important do you think it is to not only just win all the games leading up to Ohio State, but to blow out some of them, like for confidence and to kind of set a tone nationally that like Notre Dame's not messing around, especially offensively? How much do you value that? Are you just looking for us to be undefeated to get to Ohio State? Or are you really looking for us to pilot on some people, get some younger guys experience, build some confidence in this team so that when they fly in there, it's not like, well, we barely got by Navy and Tennessee State. How much do you want to see them pour it on some people and build some confidence?
Man, I want to see them, man. I want to see them put up 60 against both of them, man.
60, I like that. Like, now you're talking to me. I like that.
Here. We are here, man. We're here. We're here to stay. We coming. Last year you got a glimpse of what we could do against Clemson. I want them to do the un-Notre Dame way and blow everybody out going into the Ohio State game.
Yep.
And then we don't got cupcakes on the schedule. Everybody talk about how we got cupcakes on the schedule. We don't have too many cupcakes on the schedule. I think we blow out Tennessee State. We beat up on Navy, and I think we go to NC State. We blow them out as well.
Man, I'm telling you, I like talking to you because every time I do, you get me encouraged and of what this could be on the high end. I hope you're right, my friend. Anything else on the way out? I want you to have a relaxing weekend. Enjoy this next handful of weekends before the football anxiety becomes real again, my friend. Relax. Do some things
Man,
you like off the
I can't
field.
wait, man.
Yeah, it's going to be
I
exciting.
can't wait, John.
It's going to be great, man.
All
Hey,
right.
thank you for calling. I want you to have a good Friday, man. Have a relaxing weekend.
All right, John.
Take care, my friend. Oh, man, that guy loves his Notre Dame. Always got thoughts. What did I have? I starred something. 937, I'm going to you, and then 503 after. Oh, here it was. John, what are you most excited about for this season? I'll be honest. I think what I'm most excited about is the prospect that Notre Dame might have a more real life offense. And when I say real life, I mean like an actual balanced attack where I feel that we could run it or pass it on any given play and they both have a good chance of working. Okay. Like we have not had that. You weren't going to have it with Pine. Even if Buckner was alive all last year, you weren't going to have that because of his limitations throwing and the wide receiver limitations in the locker room last year. And what that enabled teams to is cheat on defense against Notre Dame. You creep up the line and try and stop the run on early downs, and then it's 3rd and 7 because 2 run plays didn't get you anything, and then you defend Mayer, and then you're off the field. No worries about getting beat over the top. No worries of some wide receiver streaking across the middle field and getting the ball in stride and going 60 yards. No fear at all about that Notre Dame passing game. I am excited that's going to end. I really feel like Hartman, his presence makes it so that defensive coordinators are going to have to at least honor the concept that Notre Dame could throw it on them and beat them if they get a little too touchy creeping up to the line there. That has not been a worry for defensive coordinators against Notre Dame for a long time. Think of how easy Notre Dame is to defend when you don't have to worry about getting beat over the top or in the air in general, other than the tight end, basically. I'm excited about the idea we may see an actual balanced, efficient offense that could test people. And where this gets most exaggerated is games like the Big Three. You're going to be able to get away with being more one-dimensional and running and then throwing to the tight end in the other 8 or 9 or whatever games last year. But when it mattered against a team with real talent, you weren't going to win those games doing it one way. I guess you could argue kind of did against Clemson, but they had their own issues. I'm thankful for that win, but they were leaking oil asking to be beat. And the special teams, don't forget, they had a lot to do with that too. And the defense as well. But that's where you start to see it is against the better teams you play. You are not able to cheat one way and get away with it as easily. And that's what you run into. And that's how you end up scoring 10 points against Ohio State because you were fairly one-dimensional, couldn't or wouldn't stretch the field. And then you're backed into a corner. Look at this $10 holler. I really appreciate it, Jacob. Right back to the phone lines. Hit the like button, people. I really appreciate it. 937 and 503 after that. What's going on, 937?
Hey, John, it's your favorite Buckeye fan. How are you?
I'm doing well, my friend. What's going on, man? We've been talking about your boys a little bit here and how big of a game this is. What's on your mind? Are you enjoying any of the media day stuff, all the goofy things these coaches say up there, or what?
You know, I haven't paid attention too much of that for the other conferences. I'm kind of waiting on the Big Ten. I think the interesting thing will be the Northwestern, how that all comes across, and then I think that's about it.
Yeah,
I think the guys that Ohio State is sending are pretty. They're pretty, they won't say much, and then I don't know. We'll see. Harbaugh's always got some funny we'll say a thing that's funny or here or there. But
well, yeah, that's because Martians aren't good at PR when they beam them down from whatever planet that guy came from. And you know what's funny about him when I say he's so weird is I also have the gauge of his brother John that's so much more normal and connected to like the way modern like things go. It's just funny to me the difference between those two guys. One of them looks totally put together like you would want to have a burger with. And the other one, I look in his eyes and I see the stars he came from. It's just weird, man.
Yeah.
It's weird, but hey, they're recruiting.
If it wasn't for his brother.
That recruiting's trending up for them. I don't like it. I did see the quarterback, the 5-star quarterback they got is dropping in the rankings. That I saw an article about that. What is it? Jaden Davis? Is that his name? Is that who I'm thinking of?
Yeah, Jaden Davis.
I saw that he's dropping a lot and whatever. Now they're all worked up about that.
Well, when you're under 6 foot tall and then your accuracy at the Elite 11 isn't to the same par as other people, then that your rating's gonna decline. But and if it wasn't for John or if it wasn't for his brother with the Baltimore Ravens sending him defensive coordinators, would he have beaten Ohio State the last couple of years? I don't know. That's suspect. But
yeah.
But go into one thing I just want to comment real quick on the previous caller is, I know that like because we've lost to Ohio State the last 2 years, which I think is more mental than anything, especially last year. We did score 40 points on Georgia, who I would argue has got a better defense. So I wouldn't say our offensive line is soft. I just think that it's a mental thing. We had the mental blockage going into that Michigan game.
So let me ask you this. I don't know if maybe I've asked you this before already, but as we sit right now, just about to get into camp and get all that going, if I asked you from the Ohio State angle, what's your number one concern about coming to Notre Dame? Is it that offensive line holding up, or are you confident in your defense, even against the Notre Dame offense that should be more capable of testing you this year than last year? Like where would you rank your worries about that matchup?
I think my biggest worry is actually not going to be our offense now, though. From the rumors and rumblings I'm hearing out of the team right now over the summer, I think my worries are going to be on Hartman's level. If Hartman's able to scramble, I think that's in make plays happen after breakdowns happen. I think that's where my level of worries are, honestly. And I'm not sure. I haven't really watched Hartman's career, so I'm not sure if he's a scrambler or not.
Yeah, and you know what?
Pretty decent.
And you know what that reminded me of? That reminds me of where I was at mentally preparing to play USC last year with Williams. If he has any time to run around back there, he's either going to run for it or scramble around and then whip the ball to somebody wide open after 8 seconds. But that's hard because those plays are like in the middle, right? They're like broken down and then they could go your way or their way. Who's going to win those battles? I don't know. And I'm always going to respect the talent level Ohio State has overall. Like, I may think there's matchups Notre Dame could be favored in or whatever, but I respect that overall level of talent. And it's just something that's I'm always going to have reverence for how good you guys are recruited. I know there's a lot of talent there.
Yeah, well, one thing last year is I think on our defense we lost 4 or 5 players that lost eligibility, right? So and only one got drafted, and we did. Cam Brown, who was our other corner, he didn't even get drafted, which is like, it just shows that last year's defense, we just didn't have the talent that we normally have.
Yeah.
And I think that obviously showed against Georgia, showed against Michigan. So I think this year, from what I'm hearing, is that the talent is going up, and that actually some of these highly rated guys that we got, another guy was in the middle. His dad played in the NFL, and so people thought he was going to be good. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he ended up being a 5-star bust, and he didn't even get drafted. So I think It'll be interesting. I think the strength of our defense is actually going to be up the middle, and I think that's interesting because I think maybe that's going to be the weakness of Notre Dame is going to be their middle part.
That's very that's very interesting. You bring that up. My early guess would be if there is any way that this Notre Dame offense does not take a huge visible jump forward in modernity and being able to score at a pace that like playoff game winning team score is, if they're a little bit weaker inside, you got the great tackles everybody loves. But if you're a little weaker inside and you're getting twisted or pushed around or not getting pushed in the run game, that disrupts the timing of everything. And then it doesn't matter if I think Hartman can make all the throws, if he's running for his life back there, right? Like that could have all of that caving in on itself. I need them to just be good enough to then be able to lean on those tackles big picture. That is one big picture worry I do have for Notre Dame on offense.
Yeah, and I think on the defensive side, so if you flip the script, I think it's actually kind of like the complete opposite. I think the weakness maybe of Notre Dame is going to be up the middle, and I think that's Ohio State's strength. So that's going to be interesting to see how all that plays out.
Yep, and again, I know I've told you this before, or you've heard me say this before. I have people all the time going, John, you're wrong for not saying the Notre Dame defense is going to struggle and whatever next year. I'm not saying that they're going to struggle or they're not going to be good or they're going to be bad or be worse than last year. But what I am saying is unknowns are negatives to me. If I don't know what I could trust, that's a negative. It is not a neutral in football. If I don't know, you're a negative until you're a positive. And when you tell me you lost 4 out of your 6 top tacklers on the defensive front and over half the sack production, I have anxiety about replacing all of that until I see that it's been done and you're good enough. I have that anxiety. It's a big one.
I think that's a great way to take it mentally. And I the other thing too, I think we all got to realize on defense, even Georgia gave up 40 points to us last year. So it's not like defenses nowadays don't have spurts where they'll give up points. So just because the defense gives up points, the question is, can the defense get a stop when they need it? Or can they, and this is what Ohio State couldn't do last year when they played a big guy like Georgia. When they were up by 11, could they hold them out so that they would win the game? And they couldn't do it. So so that's the difference between a Georgia and an Ohio State at this point is I think if Georgia's up by 11, they're going to be able to hold the team. They're going to be able to, but so that's the question. If Notre Dame gets a lead, are they going to be able to hold the lead? Now, I think it's a mistake nowadays to just sit on leads. I think that's going to make coaches pay. I think it made Ohio State kind of pay last year. I think it's going to, it could potentially, depending on the style, it could make your team pay.
Hey, so, let me ask you this, and I should know this, but I don't. Is there any games leading up to Notre Dame that Ohio State's going to play that are going to really give you a good indicator of where they're at in these areas that you are a little worried or anxious about? Or do you think that Notre Dame will be their first maybe test of that level or physicality level even to be able to measure it? Like, do you think off what you guys have before us, you'll be able to get a gauge?
Yeah.
Like for
so
us,
I think
NC State should be the first physical test where like you're matching up with bodies that are near your level to get a gauge in the run game or push on the defensive line. Tennessee State, Navy, and CMU aren't going to be it. So like I'm looking at NC State as that first like physical marker. What do you guys have that's going to be an indicator?
Yeah, so I think honestly it's going to be the first game. We play at Indiana. I think quarters 2 and 3 will tell you everything you need to know. So if I think the first quarter in the first game can be kind of wonky. So I almost throw that out with the baby with the bathwater, just throw that out. But quarters 2 and 3, if it's a close game going in, if Ohio State doesn't kind of run away, then I don't think Indiana's going to be that great this year. So that just kind of tells you that there is a down compared to last year. I think Ohio State would have blew out Indiana last year. So, Yeah, so I think that's the game to look out. Now it is the first game, so they have a couple games to maybe improve there, but you might be able to get a glimpse. And that game's at 3:30 on the 2nd, Saturday.
But it being week 1 is really interesting though, because week 1's always a bit of an experiment for everybody, knocking off some rust. You're not really sure who's going to come out firing on all cylinders, who needs a week or two to get things really kind of organized.
Right.
So you already have some inherent randomness built into week 1, no matter what. And that could work for you in some instances and against you in others. For instance, if I'm Indiana, I might like the idea to get my shot at you guys right away and hope I catch you breaking in that new quarterback. Maybe a couple dumb things happen and then it's a game, whatever. I might like that if I'm Indiana, to be able to get a shot at you before you get it all figured out with the new quarterback, especially.
Right. No, I agree. They had us a couple of years ago on a Thursday night as the first game, and they made Ohio State fans a little bit anxious. And I think we were ranked the number 1 team in the country that year starting the season. And I don't know, by the end of that game, I think most Ohio State fans kind of felt like, yeah, I don't think we're the number 1 team. So I think you can learn stuff pretty quickly. Now I will say, I think week 3 we play, we're going to win this game. But if there's any sign of life from Western Kentucky, they have a decent pass game. If they can get, if they get 250 yards passing, that might show you something. That might say, hey, their pass game is weak still from last year. So
yeah.
That might be something, you just got to kind of know what to look for, not the bottom score, but maybe the yards. Hey, they're giving up a lot of yards in this spot. This is where their weakness is.
Yeah.
So,
but man, I'm telling you though, this Ohio State angle is really intriguing to me. Like, as a Notre Dame guy, they owned that Michigan rivalry all those years in a row, talking all that smack to them, own them in every way. There's nothing Michigan people could say back. And then it's just kind of flipped. And on paper, entering the year on paper, I hate saying it, but Michigan's very well-rounded. And they're bringing a lot back, and they have an easy schedule running into you guys. They are set up to have a great year. They really are, by the benefit of all they bring back, things stabilizing there. The recruiting's on an uptrend. The schedule is 10 high school teams to open the year. They're trending up. How do you guys feel about it? You got to admit they are, and I don't like it, and I know you don't like it, damn it.
Yeah, I don't like it. And they also got another good year for them on the offensive line, getting guys out of the transfer portal, which has been their bread and butter. And I think that's been the difference.
Yeah.
The last couple of years. But it's 2 points really quick. I know last week, especially on Saturday night when I was listening to you, you guys were talking about USC versus Ohio State, which game's the bigger game. My question would be, so does Ohio State beat Michigan or do they lose to Michigan? Because if they lose to Michigan, then you want to beat Ohio State, and you don't want it to be where Ohio State has 1 loss, Michigan has no losses like last year, because then you'll be out of the playoff, right? So because that Ohio State will have the head-to-head, so you're gonna want it. You're gonna want to figure out a way to get as the least amount of teams in that 1 loss where you guys have a head-to-head. So
yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. That's how I would think about it. And then real quick, to talk about, you guys talk about NBC a lot, and I think this is really interesting. Did you see that they just announced their big college countdown pregame show? I know they're actually going to put a little bit of money into college football here.
I did. I don't know if I saw that or not. What are they going to do?
Yeah, so they're going to have so Notre Dame's 2 of these games, but they're going to have Maria Taylor host a show. She was at ESPN, call her Black Lady. And then Ohio State, Josh Perry's going to be on the show. Matt Castle's on the show, and then a Penn State guy, Michael Robinson. And then they have a reporter on the show, Ahmed Farad, I guess is his name. And they're going to be doing, I guess the Big Ten has a thing with NBC this year that they're going to start doing the late game on their station. And Notre Dame gets to play in 2 of those. So, but I just thought it was interesting. If I was a Notre Dame fan, I'd want to get one of my guys on this panel so you could have some representation on there, since you're on NBC, every other week.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if Notre Dame doesn't have the inside track on having one of those positions, then something's wrong, because we have that long-standing relationship with NBC. It's the reason all this is possible anyways, is because of the cozy relationship Notre Dame has in college football with NBC. It's like, can we get a little ND representation in there? Let's go.
Right. I was thinking, like, why can't they have the bus on there or something? Like, if I was a Notre Dame fan, I would want to have, because if Notre Dame's playing a 3:30 game, like, this is going to be right after that. And then if they're playing the night game, this is going to be right before that. So I don't know. I don't understand why they didn't put a Notre Dame representative on there.
Yeah, who knows?
But I just thought that was interesting. But they are going to put a little bit of money into their sports, which is something I know you've been really hoping for. So.
Yeah. It's
come to be a part of the Big Ten, man. I really want you in.
But it's just funny though. People are like, "Oh, John, what are we going to do for the TV deal? Who's it going to be?" Well, the new AD, the next AD is an NBC exec. It's going to be NBC, so they're going to work it out. The writing's on the wall. It's just a matter of how good of a deal they could get. But you don't hire this guy to be the next AD, and his latest working history is an NBC TV sports exec. Like, it is right in front of you. It's just a matter of what that deal is going to look like long term. But it does seem to me, man, at every turn, Notre Dame's flirting with the Big Ten more and more and more. Flirting. You know what I mean? It's like we're going to the dance together, but we're not quite. I admit that, like, there's a track there. And sometimes it just seems like every funnel from every angle ends with Notre Dame and the Big Ten. It just, sometimes I feel that way. I'm not saying I love it, but that's what I feel sometimes.
Here's a question for NBC, and you can answer this as a media guy. Do you think it's more valuable for them to have Notre Dame outside the Big Ten so they can bring in teams like Florida State and Clemson and into the NBC broadcast, or would you rather them playing Iowa or UCLA?
Listen, I'm telling you,
that they wouldn't normally play.
Notre Dame,
what's more important?
Notre Dame and the Big Ten would be rivalry games almost every week. There would be intrigue. There are just so many names Notre Dame has a history with, or that we'd want to re-engage with, and it just unique stuff you could do. Like, it would be week to week more exciting to me than this half-ass agreement with the ACC for sure. But it's a matter of the money and making everything else, line up.
Right. Okay. Well,
hey man, thanks for touching base.
Hey, I do have a question for you.
Go ahead.
Hey, if I do get up to the Notre Dame Ohio State game, could you set me up with some tailgates? I'd love to visit some people, some fans of yours, and if you're there, that would be great. But I'm trying to get up there, but I'll tell you what, $600 a ticket, that's pretty expensive.
Yeah, it is.
At this point,
there will be, I don't know. We talked about, I don't know my plans yet for that game. But there will be at least a couple big tailgates that I know of with really nice people that are open to everybody. We had USC people at them one year. I'll be able to figure that out for you. And I won't even set you up. I won't tell you, oh, these people are really nice. And then I'll tell them to look for you and jump you in the parking lot. That's what I'm going to do. They're going to have baseball bats. It'll be like the Anchorman where they're all waiting for you with weapons, like ready to fight in the parking lot. I won't do that to you. It'll be people that are open to even USC people. I'll do you right. Stay in touch. All right.
Okay. I will. I'll call you a little closer to the game.
Yeah, do that for sure, man. But hey, thanks for touching base. I want you to have a good weekend. Relax until the stress of college football becomes a reality again.
Yes, the summer is going so fast, but I don't want it to go any faster.
Yep, exactly.
Have a good one.
Have a good one, man. Yeah, that anxiety is going to creep on you fast. 503, you're talking to me. Welcome in.
Hey, John. Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, my friend. You've been taking all this in. What's on your mind today?
Well, I would start with, like, I wouldn't sleep on Ohio State. I don't understand why a lot of Notre Dame fans keep like underlooking Ohio State. I mean, I get it. Like USC, is the team to beat right now since they beat us last year. But like Ohio State's owned us. Why are we focusing more on USC when we've have kind of owned them through their dark times?
Well, listen, I mean, wouldn't it be? I mean, it'd be pretty irresponsible to look at all that Ohio State's achieved recently and look at their recruiting rankings and then be like, oh, I'm not worried about them. They're nothing. That'll be an easy game. Like any Notre Dame fan saying that is overconfident and they don't want to get serious about analyzing it. However, if you wanted to say to me, if there was a year that Notre Dame should feel pretty good about matching up with Ohio State, having the game at home and you having the more experienced quarterback, which is the most important position on the field, those are reasons for legitimate optimism. But everything else has to wrap into all that. The defense has to, offensive line play, like a lot of stuff has to wrap into it. But anybody taking them for granted, saying that's going to be easy, you're dumb. It ain't going to be easy. They got a lot of damn talent.
I think it's going to be a lot closer a game than people realize. History has shown that, any.
But who's out here saying Notre Dame's going to blow out Ohio State? You haven't heard that on my from me, maybe in the chat or something. But I'm not that dumb to go, Ohio State, that's nothing. We're going to win by 3 scores. I'm not saying that. So, but are you getting a vibe from Notre Dame people that they're kind of overlooking them? Really?
I get a vibe from other channels that say that we should be able to take care of business to be Ohio State, and I think we have potential.
Yeah.
But I think a lot.
You know what else, buddy? You know what else? I also think you should have no problem taking care of Stanford and Marshall too. Those are really easy games. Like there's a reason these games are played on paper, but any Notre Dame fan overlooking Ohio State, you're setting yourself up for a struggle there. It's great to admit what they've been and give them credit for their great recruiting lineage, and admit if Notre Dame's going to get them, and they haven't gotten them since 1936, now's the time. They're at your place, damn it. You have a 6-year experienced guy. Now's got to be that time. It's got to be that year.
Yeah, I mean, that's, what I'm saying is, I'm not saying that we can't beat them. I'm just saying that, you should never, just undervalue Ohio State when it comes to quarterbacks because, let's be honest, when they won the title in 2014, they had a tight end that became a quarterback and they won the whole thing. So it's just
All right, here, check this out. Check this out. Andrew Gilmore put in the chat, nobody's overlooking OSU, but USC is the longer-term problem for Notre Dame. Riley's doing a great job bringing in talent, and then obviously we play them every year. What do you feel about that?
Say that one more time. Sorry.
Andrew says nobody's overlooking Ohio State, but USC is a long-term problem for Notre Dame because we play them every year, and Riley's doing a great job bringing in talent. I agree with that.
Right. Yeah. I can agree with that. I just, I'm looking at it like this. I'm focusing on one game at a time. I don't want to just rush into things, and I'm focusing more on Navy, because that could be a trap game, even though it's, first game of the season. I like playing Navy first. It's, one of those games that always irritates me, even last year. We talked about before.
Get it out of the way. I like it being week 1, man. You have all camp to prepare for that offense and set up your personnel and do exactly what you want to do. Maybe this year it'd be maybe I'll make a suggestion. Perhaps this year you should have somebody stopping the fullback dive, which is option defense 101, and we didn't do it last year. I would appreciate if somebody would pay attention to that guy.
Right. No, I mean, I think with Sam Hartman, I think we have a great chance to go undefeated. It's all potential, you know. Like on paper, I think we have a great chance against any team, but so is any other team. You know, what makes us different than like Ohio State and USC? You know, yeah. I think, you know, realistically, you can't sleep on USC either. But I do think, though, as long as USC keeps Alex Grinch, they're not going to do anything. They're going to struggle. I mean, last year they couldn't even beat Utah. They lost them twice, and then they lost to Tulane in the bowl game. I mean, you got to take that into account. If we had a more of a competent defense in that day, we would have beaten them handily.
Yeah. Yep. Nope. I mean, that's fair, but I will say this. Defensively, their recruiting's on an uptick at Ohio State. They did a lot of work in the portal to beef up that defense for this year. And it's going to be improved over last year because of that. Just on the talent alone is how I see it. And we already know that offense is going to be really good because of that quarterback. So if they got that quarterback coming back and that exciting offense and whatever, then you add in some new defensive talent, that's where Notre Dame fans start to get nervous and not like it. Oh, Patrick, I was going to send a search party for you. Where the hell you been all week? Welcome back in, Pat. So I don't know, man, but that's why USC is a longer term problem, because it's every year. And if they get really good and you don't, that's going to be an impediment to Notre Dame making the expanded playoff every damn year.
As long as USC has Alex Grinch, we should beat Notre Dame. USC every year.
I hope you're right, but I don't. There's an increase in talent. Even if you don't like that guy, there's going to be more better players running around out there this year for them. It would, but having it at home helps. If Notre Dame was somehow undefeated for that game, it would help even more because the environment would be popping then. It just, there's a lot before we even get there to worry about, man. There's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, every Saturday I watch the blue and gold game, and it always gets me excited because, I'm like, wow, we actually have a quarterback that can throw it past, 5 yards. Like,
do you really rewatch the blue and gold game that much? Do you really?
Yeah.
That's fantastic, man. Watch Hartman throw it around. I haven't seen a Notre Dame offense operate that efficiently since I was like 4 years old, man. I'm not used to that kind of efficiency up and down the field.
Well, I mean, for me, it would have to go back to 2005. I was about 7, and I saw Brady Quinn doing things that, weren't even possible, in the Notre Dame uniform. So,
yeah.
I mean, I'm really excited. I don't really talk about it much, but I actually was, impressed with Angeli in the blue and gold game. I actually think he could be a really good number 2 quarterback. And I really hope we have a lot of mop-up duty games where Angeli can come in and, really perform well. Because,
here's the other thing. This is not a very Notre Dame-y thing that we say often, but I am going to say it. 24, you're not going to have a lot of upperclassmen in leadership roles that are coming into 24. I feel like it is very important this year. Notre Dame piles it on some teams to get some other guys some live snaps and work. That is going to help give you a head start into next year. They have got to try and lay it on people to get some other guys some experience. You are going to need it next for 24.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we should do based off of the wide receiver core, we need to have, Tobias Merriweather, we need, Colsey and the rest to really step up. Worst case scenario is to go into the transfer portal and get ourselves the experienced wide receiver. And then maybe, if tight end comes an issue, you can always go, get a transfer as well. I mean, yeah, a lot of people are concerned about right guard. I'm really hoping we could just, bank on, the underclassmen to just, step up. I am really excited with the new offensive line coach. I think he's gonna make a big improvement versus, Harry Hiestand.
You know
I
what?
think
That's very interesting too. That's very interesting too. I want to see his impact on that run game and the mentality that group has with the upperclassmen leadership we know they have and the tackles. I am excited to see that. So much of offensive line is technique and then mentality. I want to see what this guy's vision is for that. And I'm really interested. And the other thing I'm hopeful for is you may not see it as much this year because Hartman is an advanced player, but Gaduli's work with the quarterbacks, especially with these younger guys, Angeli, Carr, Minchie. Gaduli could be the key to a lot of this getting where we want it. And he's a name a lot of people can't even pronounce, and he's not front and center. However, he's going to have a lot to do with the development of those young quarterbacks and what comes next. He's got to be good at it, and I'm hopeful he will be.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited for this year. I think we have really good potential. I know a lot of other football fans at my work just keep saying, join a conference, your schedule's weak. And I'm like, okay. Well, Michigan's schedule looks really good. Georgia's schedule looks really good. Man, maybe we should just compare the, Notre Dame's schedule to theirs, see what happens. I mean, don't we got like 3 top 10 opponents on our schedule?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. I know it is what it is, man. And whatever, like I said, to open the show, I'm never going to rip on the SEC overall as far as a conference, but that does not mean that certain teams one year might not have a lucky draw and it looks like a soft schedule.
Right.
And Georgia, I know they lost people off their team last year, whatever. There's a ton of talent. They'll be just fine. Trust me.
Well, yeah. I mean, what I'm kind of excited, outside of Notre Dame is I'm actually excited to see the Big Ten Conference and how it's not going to have any more divisions. It's really going to open up what originally was the West because, with Wisconsin, Iowa and so on, like that whole side was just mediocre. Now it's all spread out. So now you have, 1 versus 2 and, it's probably going to be Ohio State, Michigan, twice.
Yeah, that is a good, but you do have a good point though. What that eliminates is one of my big complaints were those years where Northwestern would make it on their side with 4 or 5 losses, and then you're calling something a conference championship game, and one of the teams in it has 4 losses. That's not championship. That's a joke. Like that tells me your conference isn't that good. Like if that's what we're doing. So I do like that. I do like that will eliminate that being a part of it because you won't have a game with a 4-loss team coming out of that side, that division. But I appreciate the call, man. Anything you want to wrap up on before the weekend here?
No, that was about it, John. I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Perfect, man. Thanks a lot for the call. We'll probably go live tomorrow night if you're going to be around, and then we'll be back at it Monday with videos in between. You know the routine. Have a good weekend, man. Thanks for the call.
Awesome.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Oh, man. Kent Jackson, what are you coming in here trying to get me all stressed out for? All we say is, Kent's our nice, a nice Ohio State guy. Give him a chance, Notre Dame people. And he's in here saying Hartman's nothing. He's a 6th-year guy who's accomplished nothing. Give me a break. And even if that's all true, what does it say about Notre Dame that I still feel better about him than anything else we would add running out there at quarterback? Jay Laban says 110 TDs. Like, I don't know what else you expect the guy to do. I realized that it was Wake Forest, and I realized it was ACC competition, but I don't know what you expect the guy to do, right? All he can do is throw touchdowns against who he's playing against. Give me a break, Kent. Give me a break, Kent. Kent, what if I get some Always Irish baby stuff made, and I'll send you an Always Irish outfit for Christmas for your girl to wear? Would you allow that? Out of genuine intentions, I'll send her a onesie or something with a little shamrock on it. Can we do that? I want to see if you'll allow it. 260, what do you know? Welcome to the show.
Hey, John. Happy Friday, man. It's been about a few weeks. How are we doing?
I'm doing very well. I'm starting to feel on social media and what I'm doing here is people are starting to come out of football hibernation. Like there is a certain segment that are going to be here all year, no matter what. They're addicted to it, can't get enough, even in the middle of the winter, dead season, whatever. But there is another group that goes and lives their lives and kind of comes back around when they feel it coming back. We're getting there, man. New names are popping back up that I haven't seen since the end of last year. People are getting that energy back, and I'm ready for it, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, no, I'm excited as well. I'm also excited for you. I know that you've really grown your brand here, especially, with your YouTube presence. I love watching this evolution that you've done, especially for people such as yourself. Getting it done. Winners do, losers are complaining in the chat, if you will. So,
hey, I appreciate
I'm happy
that
for you, man.
I do. I appreciate you trying to look at it on like kind of the business side of what I'm trying to grow and the vibe and the kind of the community feel I'm trying to build here. And what I'm really hopeful for, man, is I genuinely think going live 1 minute after Notre Dame game and opening the phones, I am hopeful that kind of starts taking us to a different level there. Because I just feel like we're never going to be hotter than that moment, whether it's good or bad. And I want to be available to you guys.
Hey, I love the idea. It's going to be an adventure. The season is going to be an adventure regardless. But,
Yeah.
that will be an adventure. I just pray that you don't get demonetized because hopefully there's no loss. Because if you lose if you have a Marshall or Stanford, my goodness, that is going to be one of those type of post-game shows. And,
Yeah.
YouTube might come a calling afterwards.
Yeah, I need to ask people again to all refrain from the F word and some of that stuff if they could, but people are going to be drinking all day. I don't know what we're going to get, but that's what makes it great because you never know what you're going to get. And I want to be the place where people are like, oh boy, how's it going to go on John's show tonight?
Oh, exactly. I'm looking forward to it. At least like with me, I guess I will know my boundaries. It's just like Saturday night. No, I ain't calling that because again,
Yeah,
it's just now calling me. Last thing I want to do is harm your business, man. Because again, I root for individuals such as yourself. That is, you're not the mainstream, and so therefore you can look at things differently. You can state your honest opinion because if you aren't, if you are part of the mainstream, you can't tell the truth because then you're never allowed back into.
But can I tell you something? Now that you brought it here, let me tell you this. This is getting harder for me the bigger I grow, because the bigger you grow and then you have credibility, then I want to get involved in more things and have more access and do more to match kind of the profile rising and being recognized as a voice. But then the more you want to do that, the more the powers that be expect you to get in their company line to open the doors and give you that access and do that. And I am noticing it's hard because the bigger this grows, the more pressure I feel to have to tone it down for access. And I don't want to be in that environment. And that's a part of what I'm going to Notre Dame next week to kind of massage is some of that and meet certain people and have them understand where I'm coming from out of a place of love for Notre Dame, but that I'm never going to be the company line guy and cover for everything they do and sugarcoat it. I'm never going to do that, but I have to have these people understand that whatever I do, it's coming from a place of love and wanting Notre Dame to succeed. And so, what you're talking about is a part of what I'm hoping to kind of work on next week when I'm there.
Yeah, and kind of 2 points from that. I mean, one, how you kind of counteract that initial pushback. You keep growing, eventually get too big, and they can't ignore you. You know what I mean? It's it's that phenomenon, which I hope actually happens for you. I really do.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And by the way, I liked hearing from my stadium workers that love my show. I really loved hearing that I knew Brian Kelly and the staff were aware of my show, and they overheard them complaining. They overheard them complaining about something I said about Kelly before. It made my year just to know Kelly's aware of who I am. It makes me happy. And I'm not saying that like, oh, John, you're a celebrity. It's just my own pettiness. I liked knowing that guy knew who the hell I was and it bothered him. That made me proud.
I'm telling you right now, man, if you what's it, Irish fan 574, my cousin Freddie, Luke, whatever the hell, I swear that is Kelly's camp. I swear. That's what that is. That person is from Kelly's camp.
That's a lot of dedicated effort to to troll me, man. Like that is a lot of dedicated effort. And I know some of those guys, I don't know, man. And you ban them and they create a new email to log in the next week. I mean, there's not much you could do sometimes. It's rough.
Yeah. It's funny. It's funny to me. But I mean, there's a lot of talk about, man. I mean, got the college football season about ready to start, which is always awesome. You got this, NIL. You can talk about Notre Dame's recruiting and the board. I mean, which path would you like to go down? Because I mean, it depends on what you would like to talk about.
All right,
I'll be happy to dish.
We do the NIL stuff all the time. Let's talk about something entering the season. Do you have anything for like that part? Because I get sick of doing the aqueous NIL and all that stuff. What do you want to talk about getting into the season here early?
All right, let's kind of go back off your video this week, like the schedule. I think yes, Notre Dame's schedule is hard. But I think it's played out. It's actually quite good for Notre Dame. And what I mean by that is when I look at it, first and foremost, you're playing Navy at the beginning of the year. That's what you want to do. Ideally, the first game of the year, because then you can practice that triple option during camp over and over and over again. When you got an extra, few weeks to prepare for that. You're done.
I have no excuse.
Done with that game.
You have no excuse to give up, 185 yards to the fullback dive when you've had all of August to prep for it. Like, you have no excuse. That is different than the prep if it's in the middle of a normal season week and you only have a few practices. It's very different. I expect it to be better.
I do too. It should, especially because also on the Navy side of things, theoretically, they should not be as sharp with that triple option with the reads that first week of the year. So it's good to play them early. You get done, boom, done with it. On to the next. And you got, obviously you got that Tennessee State game. It's like, what are we doing here? Type of crap. So that's another warm up. Then I like the fact you go to NC State on the road. They're a decent team, and you're going to get ACC to death. I mean, the refs are going to call it, bunch of bullshit on one way. Which way that's going to favor.
And it's going to be hot.
There's going to be adversity.
It's going to be a real hot middle of the day game at their place, like that. I am excited for that challenge, though. The way I look at that one is physically, it should be the toughest game for Notre Dame before Iowa State, just as far as bodies matching up. And I'm very intrigued to see what kind of push does the offensive line and defensive line get on them. That's going to be the gauge, because Central Michigan, Tennessee State, Navy aren't going to physically match up to Notre Dame. And so I'm open to be able to see some of that, get some of those indicators.
Agreed. And I might actually go to that game and try, because I'm down here in North Carolina. But anyways, then it's going to be hot as hell, especially that time with that sun. But the other aspect I like with that is, with Navy, Tennessee State, North Carolina State, and then you get Central Michigan. That gives you 3 to 4 games where your line can get acclimated to one another. You're replacing 2 guards, all right? And I know you don't like to hear this, but it does take time for offensive linemen to gel together. And the only way that's going to happen is real live action. Not 2 a day or 2 days anymore.
Then you know what you should do then? You should tell your athletic director not to schedule Iowa State week 1 then. Like build yourself if we're going to accept that as a general truth, then Notre Dame needs to get on the scheduling model everybody else has and play a run up of 2 to 3 games to get into that before you play a big name opponent, so that all your hopes and dreams aren't ruined week 1 like they were for us last year, basically. Right?
Agree.
But you are right. No, I don't like hearing it, because it's not the NFL where you have a bunch of warm-up games and you can work out, try different matchups. You don't have any of that. You got to be ready to win or overcome your mistakes and still win early in the year. You're right. I don't like hearing it. Even if it's true, I don't like it.
It's because the O-line is essentially the only position group on that field that you have multiple players acting as one. And if you don't have it acting as one, you have chaos. Just the recent vintage, Kane Madden, and how that turns out. So I like the warm up. I like that. Like you say, like NC State, they're going to they're always tough when it comes
Dude,
to the run
year,
game. So they're going to have a nice warm up there.
Last year, I think I got, or whatever that Madden year was, I got so mad. I said that Kane Madden was looked out there more like John Madden, and I thought that was pretty funny to me.
Oh man, Kane Madden looked like I don't know what it was. I mean, whew, thank God that guy is gone. Wish him nothing but the best.
Yeah, I know. I know. But that was the classic case of he was in the right spot against the right competition at his first landing spot. And it's just physically, he was not gifted enough on that next level, especially when compared to Notre Dame's lineage on the O-line too.
Agreed. I mean, that really concerned me that year, because it's like, you're telling me you have no one that is better than this? Like, no one?
Yeah.
Man, was that bad. The biggest concern game that I have is Duke. That game is very concerning to me, because the OSU is right before that. You're going to get up for OSU, and I don't understand how fans can't grapple with the fact that you have kids. They're 18 to 20-year-old kids, man, and you get them up in height, and then you go off to a half-filled stadium that's from an academic school in North Carolina, Duke.
Yeah.
That they're more concerned about basketball for any sport. You know what I mean? And that, like the stadium's dead. You're on the road. You're against Elko, who damn well he's like this.
Yep. And everybody all of us respect that guy. All of us have a lot of respect for him. I know I do. The good man doing it the right way. Good fit for Duke. 9 wins last year. The biggest. Physically, it's going to be what it's going to be. But mentally, I'm already saying this. I've been around Notre Dame long enough to know these traps. No matter whether we are happy or sad after Iowa State, the emotional well is going to be running dry into the next week. Whether we're flying high or we're all depressed and everybody's questioning Freeman, and then why in the hell's Hartman here if you're not going to win that game? Whatever it's going to be, the emotional well is going to be running dry for Duke. And like you said, there's nothing that could happen that can make people think anything other than a basketball when you hear the name Duke and think of sports. It's going to be one of those weeks. Notre Dame needs to be emotionally mature enough to handle that moment, whether it's on the plus or minus side. You got to be able to handle it. Your upper class leadership better be able to get that going.
I agree. And that's also
it's
concerning
dangerous.
Going to Notre Dame is that leadership.
Yep.
Like who are the leaders? Who are these captains going to be? Because I do know, as obviously as time progresses in the year, the transfer year, or the transfer age, if you will. I mean, that class is down, man. I mean, and I'm sure Harden will be captain and whatnot, but it's like that leadership is so vital.
Yeah.
And that also plays such a role.
I mean, let me give you a theory here. Could you make your twin towers of tackle terror, make them the vocal leaders, and they're your big physical mean guys up front, and they're going to be elite, and they're big shot guys, and they're older guys. Have that be the engine that drives your team emotionally, and they have that offensive line mentality of kicking the shit out of everybody and beating people up. I'm fine with that being our leadership and mentality this year. And then if you want Hartman to do some of it as the quarterback, that's fine too. But it is unique that he's new here to assume a leadership role, coming in off street, doesn't have all that Notre Dame history, but I'm open to it because it's the most important position on the team. But let those tackles be your leaders, and their goal is to kill everybody and be elite.
I wouldn't be surprised if one is a captain, one of your leaders. And also remember, with leaders, they don't necessarily have to be the C on the jersey. You know what I mean? And with leadership, especially football leadership, it comes in different types of personalities. Yeah. Obviously, you got the rah guy that's in your face. Let's go, get up, hype. Yeah. Let's do this. But then you got that steady Eddie, the lunch pail individual.
Yep.
In early every single day.
Yep. And then also, then on the field, that translates where you're going to get what you need out of that guy every single week. He's going to bring it, and there's never any doubt he's going to bring it. And that's the expectation, and he's just going to have it. You need a blend there. But I need Notre Dame to get a little more mean. And I don't know if last year was different because it was so many changes. I want a little mentality shift. I'm sick of Notre Dame just being happy to get a win and move on and win by 7 or 10 or whatever. I want them to start proving a point. Put it in people's minds. Notre Dame's not a joke. Blow out a couple of the teams before Iowa State. Put up some gaudy offensive numbers. Give us more to look at and other teams to think about Notre Dame.
Agreed. I want Notre Dame averaging 38 points a game this year. When all said and done, when the tape is over, we look at the end of the year and they're averaging 38 plus. I want to see that.
Man, you know what?
And if you do that,
it is weird that you bring up that number, because when I've been thinking about this, that's the one I keep coming back to as well, right around that 38 number. And you could have a bad weather game where you're running the ball and it goes down or whatever. But I mean, that's the number I'm looking at too. And that helps the defense a lot, gives them some wiggle room to not have to be as perfect. I like that.
Agreed. And what you just stated prior, and that's why I'm hoping to see as well. I want to see what our second team looks like earlier on in the year. And that's because we're blowing the shit out of these teams that we should be.
Yeah.
That the game is not even in doubt going into halftime, where it's like, okay, you're at halftime and it's just like, okay, I can't wait till this game's over because I'm going to call in Always Irish and drop a $10 super chat for this great win. That type of thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
That's what I want to see.
Yeah. And
early in the year.
It's just such an important year. It's a pivot point, year 2 going into year 3 with all the history of Notre Dame teams in year 3, coaches in their third year, the new playoffs starting, a lot of the roster's going to turn over. This has got to be a year where after it, everybody feels like we're trending up and it's not in question. And I don't feel like you felt that after last year because of some of the issues we had and then some of the recruiting problems. I think it's important that this year ends 10 or more wins regular season, good postseason performance, trend up into whatever's going to come next.
Agreed. I agree. Last year I knew that Freeman was going to have some bumps. I fully anticipate that. I give him credit. He held together the team pretty well. I mean, you see these other programs where they lose their head coach and you got 20, 30 people just gone, just like that. So he held that together. Now, this is the year. I'm telling you, man, 10 wins. You got to get to that 10 win. And
You've got to. No, and I don't wait. And I don't mean including the bowl game. I mean the regular season. I need double digit damn win. I ain't talking about that cheat thing of adding that extra bowl game that nobody cares you're in and it doesn't move the needle nationally, adding that to it. Regular season, it's got to get back to double digits. That's the level. It has to be.
And when they do that this year, now you got a great chance to get a trophy in that case that's worth a damn. You got a quarterback that is going to be able to lead you to be a New Year's Six, maybe playoff victory. You have an opportunity. I really do believe like this is going to be the year where Notre Dame gets that monkey off their back, where they get a New Year's Six bowl. I think that's where they're going this year, is a New Year's Six bowl. And I think they're going to win it. I think this is going to be the year that it actually finally dies. And then can you imagine that? Like the meme dies finally. And then it just changes so much.
Yeah. And you know what else?
Everything.
That's a reason it is frustrating. Everybody's so sick of that meme, and you thought maybe you were going to get it quick with that Fiesta Bowl, with the change in staff, maybe get it done then, and it didn't happen. And then last year, it was a rough go. But what a great way to transition into the new playoff era than to finally kill that thing and bury it before it's over, this playoff format, and go into the next one. That would be a big trending arrow. If you won one of those games finally, put that meme to bed. I don't have to listen to it on Twitter every day. Like, that would be progress too. 10 wins and then win one of those bowl games, damn it.
Yep. And then what does that do for Freeman and recruiting, et cetera?
It's got to help.
It should.
It's got to help. But see, people always ask then, oh, well, how much better could it be or whatever? What do you expect us to land 5 stars just because we win a New Year's? I can't measure how much it's going to help, but I know it's got to. I can't measure it, but nobody can tell me winning high-profile stuff doesn't help your cause. It's better than the alternative, but people want to know, oh, what do you expect us to land all the 5 stars after that? I don't know, but it certainly can't hurt it.
I don't expect them to land all the 5 stars, but I do expect a 5-star here, maybe every season, if not every other season at the very least. But I don't care who you are and what I mean by the university. If you are winning, that is going to help your recruiting all the way down. I mean, because now your boosters, the people who watch, your attendance are way up. Your boosters are funneling money into the system. Oh, by the way, you're on TV all the time. And so players are seeing that. And oh, by the way, these players must be worth the damn. And so guess what? They're going off to the NFL. Okay.
Yeah.
And so that's what these kids want to hear, is that you're going to convert me to a first round draft pick so I can make hundreds of millions of dollars. Okay. That's what they want to hear.
Yeah.
All right. So if you're winning, that then makes that dream more of a reality in that kid's mind.
Yep. Nope. That makes sense. Like, winning is the tide that rises all ships. And it's just a big year. This is a corridor of circumstances and timing where there's a lot of moving parts around Notre Dame, with conference stuff, with the TV stuff, with the uniforms, with the new coach, a new quarterback. Like, recruiting is up and down. People have anxiety about it. Like, the one thing that can help all of this, that win your damn games. Win your damn games, man. Just win your games. Give me a break. Like, can we get a year where the quarterback stays healthy every game? Like, let's start with there. Can I beg for that? Can our guys stay in one piece? Can we start with that even?
Yep. And you just hit it right on the head. That is my biggest concern with camp. It always is. Because injuries are going to come when camp starts, because it is just what it is. When you start sudden. Okay. Just please don't make it key cogs of this machine. Like that's my biggest concern. I'm not too worried about the quarterback situation because they got the red jerseys on, but like line, defensive backfield, like that, honestly, it has me a little bit nervous. But once again, kind of how their schedule is set up, if theoretically, not wishing this upon anyone, if you were to have an injury, maybe they'll be out in a few weeks, you have time to get them back.
Yeah.
And up and running.
Yeah.
Just to combat that competition.
Yeah, you're right about that. And I just think, I don't know, man. I will say this, knock on wood, Notre Dame is entering camp fairly healthy compared to where they've been a lot of other years. They have guys that are coming back off a procedure or off something. The health is about as good as you could ask for starting all this. Let's just see if it holds up that way. Anything else, my friend? Really good touching base with you.
Likewise, John. I always appreciate your time. And I guess the last thing I'll leave you with is another thing that I enjoy, recent vintage of Notre Dame, especially I have Dylan and Freeman. You're not worried about hearing like, oh, there's going to be 6 players suspended for the season because of marijuana or whatever the hell.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about that, which is great. Which is great. I mean, that's come a long ways, but no, man, I'm excited for the season. Obviously, I'm excited to see how this show goes this season. It's always an adventure, man. I know, I'm feeling pretty confident that this is the year that the meme ends. So
perfect,
God bless,
man. That'd be beautiful. Thanks a lot for the call. Have a good weekend, man. Enjoy the rest of the summer weekends here before the real stress kicks in. All right, folks, that's going to be it. Almost 2 hours. Good little show. It's getting lively. I appreciate all of you for being here. Those of you that donated, those of you that chatted, the people that call, some newer ones, some older ones. That's a good blend. I'll put something else out tonight. I'll have something for you in the morning. He must have got a problem with that Irish weed, says Kent. Yeah, maybe I need some. Calm some of my anxiety down, bro. I need that leprechaun the leprechaun stuff, the good stuff with shamrocks ground up in it or something. Pat says he's good for this Saturday and next Saturday. We'll probably go this Saturday then. That'll be tomorrow. Next Saturday, I think we're having something. I think we're having a party at the house. We're doing something for her work. I don't even know. I got to figure out what we got going on. I think I have something going on next Saturday night. We'll figure it out. Oh, look at this before I leave. Any Saturday show? Yeah, tomorrow's going to be a Saturday show. Thanks for the $5 hour. What is this? I'm so sick of so many negative ND fans. Rome wasn't built in a day. Freeman said he was going to build the middle of the roster, meaning depth. Give him time. Saban and Kirby didn't win a title the first year. I know, but Rome wasn't built in a day. Well, was it built in 35 years? Because that's what we're running on since the last time we won anything. Is 35 years enough time to build a city? Or what? Give me a break. Like, I'm trying to have patience, but at the same time, you can't act like Freeman is just like he's in a vacuum and it's just that. It's also not winning anything since 88 added into it. It's 35 years. Oh, man. The stress never ends with this fan base. Thanks for the $5 hour, Andrew. Yeah, we are going to do a Saturday night show tomorrow night. See y'all there or be square. Have a good weekend. Enjoy it before the football stress comes back.